Welcome, everyone. The LinkedIn and YouTube chats are open for live comments and questions. And our topic today is AI data centers transforming the US economy. And with me is Steve Gorenham. Who is him?
Steve is a speaker, author, researcher on environmental issues, frequent guest on radio and television programs, and freelance writer. He frequently publishes in the Wall Street Journal, Real Clear Energy, the Washington Times, and other media outlets. His TV appearances include Fox Business Channel, The Joe Donlon Report, Wilcow, and Sky News Australia. He is the executive director of the Climate Science Coalition of America and a consultant for the Heartland Institute. He holds a bachelor's and master's degree in electrical engineering from the University of Illinois and an MBA from the University of Chicago. He has over 30 years of experience in Fortune 100 companies and private companies in engineering and executive roles. He is the author of 4 books on sustainability and energy, with over 100,000 copies in print. His most recent book, Green Breakdown, The Coming Renewable Energy Failure, has repeatedly reached #1 in the energy policy category on Amazon.
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Armando. Great to join you again.
Excellent. Tell me about the US and the data centers. Is really AI transforming US economy, or is only one more activity investment?
Let me give you a little bit of a background on AI and your listeners, and also Brazil is becoming a big data center capital as well. So the term artificial intelligence was coined by John McCarthy at Dartmouth University in 1955, but it took 68 years until November of 2022 for artificial intelligence systems to master the complexities of human language. And the AI revolution relies on 3 big components: vast computer processing power, huge databases of information, and innovative artificial intelligence algorithms. Now, since the first ENIAC computer at the University of Pennsylvania in 1946, the processing speed of computers has increased about 1 million times.
Wow.
I'm sorry, almost a trillion times, excuse me.
Wow.
And then we had the internet revolution at the end of the 20th century that provided an ocean of digital information. And this allows today's AI systems to access billions of data files. And then we've had innovations such as neural networks, large learning models, and parallel processing of integrated circuits using the graphics processing units, GPUs. And all of these things combine to allow AI to mimic human intelligence. Today's AI systems are remarkable. They can translate dozens of languages. They assemble prose and poetry. They generate audio, images, and videos, and they can answer factual questions. And now the artificial intelligence models are scoring better than humans on tests like the US bar exam. And one recently got 100% score on the US medical licensing exam.
It's much better than doctors.
The system continue to improve. And so they're doing things like they are identifying the molecular structure of future drugs. They're mapping human DNA. They're developing new materials for batteries. They're enabling self-driving vehicles, providing intelligence for robots, and they're able to guide autonomous weapons for military uses. So just a tremendous amount of things going on.
Yeah, that's right.
So now some of these things these things require a lot of power. First off, AI supercomputers reside in data centers, and some are gigantic. I think we've talked about Hyperion's data center in Northeast Louisiana before, that covers 3.5 square miles or 1,700 football fields or soccer fields. And when completed in 2030, it's going to use double the electricity of the city of New Orleans.
My God.
And the build out is astonishing. So you can put up your first slide there if,
Sure.
if you're going to put up some slides.
Sure.
And this slide is from Bloomberg. And this year, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Oracle have announced capital spending plans totaling $650 billion this year. This is up 70% from last year. It's up more than 600% from 6 years ago. And this spending is larger than the individual gross domestic product of 168 nations. Now, Brazil is one of the bigger nations for gross domestic product, but this amount from these companies is 1/3 of the total domestic product of Brazil in a year. So very, very big.
You mentioned that 50% of the world's data centers are being constructed in the US. Is it correct?
I think that's about right. But there are some others around the world. We now have something like 4,000 data centers. That's up 50% from 2 years ago. But Brazil is also experiencing a data center boom. I'm reading that Brazil has 90% of the data centers in South America.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some big investments going on.
I suppose large companies are doing in Brazil the same companies that are doing investments in the United States. Yes. And how they fit the return of these investments? How they calculate this?
Well, that's a big question. Are they going to get their money back from all this investment?
Yeah, big investment.
I think Microsoft has said that the demand for AI services is doubling roughly every year or every half year. It's a pretty big growth.
Wow.
But currently Brazil has about 160 data centers, mostly around the Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro axis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's expected to grow, the market for data centers is expected to grow at 25 to 30% annually. So it's very, very big. And we have, I'm trying to remember the firms that are down there. I think Microsoft and Amazon are two that are building data centers.
Yeah,
down
they
there.
are here. Yeah, these two companies are in Brazil, very intensive. But because you need infrastructure and energy for these data centers.
Yes.
How they solve these questions?
Right. Well, in the U.S., we're building lots of power plants. We're extending nuclear plants, reopening them. We're reopening nuclear plants that were closed. We are extending coal plants that were scheduled for closure. And then the U.S. is also building more than 200, planning or building more than 200 gas-fired power plants.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're doing down here. I think Brazil has quite a bit of electricity. I know you have the biggest facility in the world here, the dam on the border with your neighbor.
Paraguay, Argentina. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm forgetting the name of that.
Yeah. It's a very, very big hydro power energy system.
Yeah.
70% of Brazil's electricity comes from let's say clean energy.
Yeah, well, that's great. Oh, it's Itaipu. I was trying to think of that has
exactly. Yeah.
14 gigawatts of capacity. That is, I think, the largest power plant in the world. It rivals the Three Gorges Dam power plant in China. So I think a lot of these big tech companies are choosing Brazil because you have low cost electricity, and also it's considered green electricity.
Water,
renewable.
yeah, available, yeah. But tell me about environmental opposing this because environmentalists, of course, they are against these investments or not.
Well, they are, and let's see. Why don't you put up the next slide? I think we ought to go on to that. This was a look at it's called the Ascenti data center in Brazil. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, these are the data centers in the United States, 4,000. Go to the next slide.
Mhm.
This is the Ascenty data center in Brazil, and they're building a number of. I think they're building whoever Ascenty is. They're building a number of data centers, and then go on to the next one, and you have to translate this sign for me.
This
Does
is
this
not the
say
backyard.
not in my
We are
backyard or
not the
something?
backyard. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the environmental, or rather, a number of groups are opposing data centers now in the U.S. and also, I guess, in Brazil. And I think there's some TikTok is trying to build a data center
Yeah.
and investing a lot of money, but they're doing it in an area that the indigenous people don't like, I think.
Don't like. See, on the floor, there is another one that says water and energy for
Yep.
the people, not for data center.
Yeah. Well, data centers use a lot of water and a lot of energy. And we talked about the electrical power already, but water is a big issue as well. Now, if they're small data centers, some of them can just be air cooled. I just visited one near Houston. That's a little one, and they're not using any water. But some are using evaporative cooling, and so they run water in, it evaporates, and they have to keep running water into the system. The bigger ones are now recirculating water. So when you put water into the system initially, it will evaporate, but it's captured by the system and the pipes, recondensed, and it's run again. And also there are new systems for the really large data centers that are using chemicals that are not water-based, and they're non-conductive for electricity. So they just send these liquid chemicals over the AI boards, and they're able to cool them, but that's more expensive, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we also have some companies like I think it was Microsoft that actually built a water treatment plant east of Atlanta, Georgia, so they could provide water not only for the data center but also for the local community. So this is something when I advise groups that are concerned about data centers, I say you need to do two things. You have to have the data center build its own power plant if it's a big one, so that it's not taking electricity from your grid and not raising your power rates. And then also you have to understand their water policy. How are they going to use water? Are they going to use large amounts?
That's right.
And so those are the two important things that local communities need to look at.
Yeah, no doubt. What happened in Ohio in terms of natural gas? Fired, something like that?
Yeah, well, this is a huge new plant. A company called SoftBank. It's actually a Japanese conglomerate company.
Investor. Yeah.
Have said they're going to invest $500 billion for a data center in Piketon, Ohio. And this is going to be the largest construction project in the United States for this data center. They're just breaking ground on it this year. It's going to be powered by a new 9 gigawatt gas-fired power plant. That'll be the largest gas-fired plant in the United States, and approaches, your dam, the biggest in the world, was 14 gigawatts. So this is a very, very big gas plant. It'll have many, many turbines. And this is part of a deal that President Trump agreed to with Japan a year ago as part of a tariff deal that Japan would come and invest $550 billion in the United States. And this SoftBank project in Ohio is basically that amount. So it's really a big project, but it kind of points to how big these things are that are going on.
And where does natural gas come from? Virginia, Texas, or nearby Ohio?
Well, we have a lot of it in the Permian Basin, which is down in Texas and New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
We have gas in Ohio. I think Ohio is maybe number 7 as far as states that produce gas. And we have it in Appalachia there in Pennsylvania. And then we have it up in North Dakota. So are these shale fields all around the country where they're using hydraulic fracturing. They drill wells down and then use horizontal drilling, and they fracture the shale, which allows it to release gas. And so we had declining gas output until about 2008 in the United States. And then we entered the hydraulic fracturing revolution, and now we're the leading exporter of natural gas in the world right now and the biggest producer. but that's taken a lot of effort. So yeah, that's where it's coming from for all these data centers.
Right. And Mr. Trump is giving incentives to sign a consumer protection pledge and things like that in White House. What does it mean exactly?
Yeah, we have two forces emerging. So Mr. Trump has become a big champion for artificial intelligence.
Wow.
And so he is doing things like, as you mentioned, he had the big data center companies, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, and Oracle. And let's see, I'm not checking on where you are in your slides here. So
Yep.
you can zip down
Let's go ahead here.
a slide or two. I should be keeping. Well, that's
SoftBank.
SoftBank. So
SoftBank you
zip down
mentioned,
once
yes.
more. Okay, here's the ratepayer protection pledge. So he had all these big companies come to the White House earlier this month, and they all signed a pledge that their company would pay for any cost of power plants or any cost of increased electricity prices. And now some people are saying, well, this is just a pledge; it's not a law. But Mr. Trump is working hard. The other thing he's done in the United States is said, I'm removing restrictions on power plants. You can now build your own power plant on your own site.
Wow.
And by doing this, these companies are all building power plants, and they don't have to wait for the grid to catch up to supply power.
You mean they make a specific power plants to specific data centers? So
yep, yeah. For example, the Meta plant in Louisiana has an agreement with Entergy, the local electricity company. Entergy is going to build 3 gas plants right on the site of the Meta site for that data center, and that's what we see. It's a new thing called BYOP, Bring Your Own Power, and so people like PJM Interconnect, a big transmission and interconnect company in the United States for utilities, has basically said, if you want to build a big data center, you better build your own power plant. We can't supply it from the grid. So that's what's going on in the U.S.
Only a joke. Apologize, please. So Mr. Trump likes 2 things, different things: AI and wars.
Well, yeah. Well, supposedly he doesn't like wars, but he seems to be getting involved in them.
Yeah, that's right. But tell me, why not using green energy to support these data centers? Solar.
Skip a slide and go to the next one. So we got to go down 2 slides. Go to the next one. So one of the reasons is that the renewables actually are more expensive. This is data just out from the Energy Information Administration, which is part of the Department of Energy in the U.S. And it shows state electricity price increases over the last 6 years. That bar in the middle shows that U.S. prices are up about 29%.
From 2020, 6 years.
Yeah, over 6 years. But we have all the states on the left: California, Maine, New York, Maryland, Massachusetts, and Connecticut are all states that have been pushing renewable energy, and their prices have risen the fastest. And the states on the right, Georgia, Florida, Texas, and Missouri, still are using a lot of natural gas and a lot of coal, and they're also using some renewables, but not so much, and their prices have gone up much less. You can go to the next slide as well.
Yeah, because Texas, 15%.
Yeah, they have the biggest amount of wind turbines in the U.S. is in Texas, but they also have a lot of gas. So you can go to the next slide.
Yeah.
What I've done here, and I've showed you your viewers this before. This is with updated data, and this is over 17 years now. It shows the national average. The blue bar is the national average price increase over 17 years. It's been about 40%. But this is the top 12 wind states in the United States. And 8 of those states have had power prices that have been increasing faster than the national average.
Mm.
So the idea that wind is cheaper is really not borne out by the facts, despite what you read in the headlines.
No.
And you could look at one more. Look at the next slide here.
Yeah,
One of
but
the big reasons is
before we go to the next one, why
Sure.
California is so big? More than 100%.
Yeah, over 100% increase. Well, this is
Is there a specific reason?
well, I think it's their green energy policies. They shut down all their coal plants. They shut down a bunch of gas plants, but they restarted some of them. And they have a lot of solar. And when you build solar, one of the problems is that solar facilities, to get the same output as a nuclear or a gas or a coal plant, you have to use 100 times the land. You have to scatter solar everywhere in farmland and all over the landscape. And then you have to connect it to transmission. If you want to go to the next slide.
Yeah.
And so if you want to do renewables, you have to use 2 to 3 times as much transmission to get the same output. And then, you're having your battles with the local people because they don't like the transmission towers and all that. So it's a pretty big problem. There's also one other thing, and I think we talked about it. Larry Fink of BlackRock admitted recently that you can't power data centers with intermittent renewables and with batteries. You need a 7-day, 24-hour power. It has to be on all the time to run these data centers. And so wind and solar really can't do the job.
Wow.
And that's one of the reasons why the environmental groups are so upset, because all of this demand for gas and keeping coal plants around. By the way, today we had a new bill was introduced to Congress by 2 of our leaders on the progressive side. One was Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, and the other one was Representative Ocasio-Cortez from New York. And that bill calls for a halt to the construction of all data centers in the United States.
But Larry Fink is not the guy that was the ESG guy, ESG support.
Yeah, he was one of them. He was with BlackRock. In 2021, he made the statement that all companies, they manage about $11 trillion in assets from all these companies and all these funds. And 5 years ago, he said everybody should go net zero. And and he was urging all his companies. But then last year he said, well, we can't do data centers if we're all net zero. So it's been a pretty big shift. And I think a lot of people around the world are kind of saying, maybe we got to use a balance. We'll do some renewables. And by the way, hydropower is great, but we still need coal, oil, and gas. And we still get 34% of global electricity from coal, and mostly in the developing world and China.
Steve, what are your conclusions about AI and data centers? Are they useful, good? Let's see. Are they really transforming the U.S. economy for the better?
I do think they are. They're happening. Will there be a bubble? I think there will be. There's going to be some overbuilding, but it's hard to say that Microsoft, Amazon, and all these companies are wrong. They're spending $650 billion this year.
Much money.
It's just an astounding amount of money. Again, 1/3 the GDP of the nation of Brazil.
Yeah.
And so this is coming, and there's a lot of problems with people losing their jobs. There's a lot of problems with what do we do with education. We have kids in school that are using AI to cheat on writing papers and a lot of other things. And then these are going to be instruments of war also. All these drones are powered by artificial sorts of things. So
military equipment and much more than that. Yeah.
So there's a lot of problems. But again, we have many people are going to try and put laws into place. But I do think this will be a tremendous boon for medicine, for science and technology, for robotics, a lot of other areas.
Yeah, there are very, very good areas to invest using AI, no doubt.
Yep.
Tell me about your book. We in the beginning of this podcast, we showed your book, but tell me a little bit more about the book. I suppose I have your. No. Sorry.
Well, if you go down to
Steve is a speaker.
No.
next to last slide there, keep going down.
Yeah. Here
So there's an image of the book, and it's Green Breakdown, the Coming Renewable Energy Failure. And what I mean by that is that we're not going to get to net zero. We'll still have renewables around the world, but come 2050, we're still going to be using a lot of coal, oil, and gas because that's what the world runs on. So in addition to science and economics, this is a color paperback, by the way, and they can get it from my website, Steve Gorham, GOREHAM.com. There are also ebooks on Amazon as well. But that on the right is one of the sidebars. There are 150 color sidebars, and this is a real headline. California asks residents not to charge electric vehicles days after announcing a gas car ban. So, that's kind of a crazy headline, and we're the world's going to get back to common sense and sensible energy policy.
Yeah. So the conclusion is that AI is very welcome, but needs strong investment in energy.
And needs some controls, needs some government controls and those sorts of things. And we're going to need smart water supplies wherever they're put in.
You see needs of regulatory, let's say, laws, new laws to be used, AI.
Well, that's one of the things we didn't discuss much here, but there's this week also President Trump came out with a national policy framework for artificial intelligence, and basically this is a policy he sent to Congress saying they need to pass laws, and these are things that they want these laws to do: to protect children and empower parents, to safeguard consumers from rising power costs, to protect intellectual property, because these AI systems just go out and take it from the internet, and to establish a artificial intelligence policy at a national level to preempt state laws and other measures. So Trump is trying to get laws into place which protect citizens and families, but still boost and make the United States a world AI leader.
Because China is going very fast in this area too. So
yes,
it's a competition, as a real competition. So the U.S.
Yes, there is a war going on.
Another war.
And, let's see. He's also said. He says the U.S. must be, quote, the world's #1 superpower in artificial intelligence. And he knows we're in a battle with China, and so he's trying to beat China at this game. So it's quite a competition.
Interesting. Fantastic, Steve Gorham. Thank you so much. It was a great conversation.
Thank you, Armando, and
thank you.
Wish you